So as farmers, the power of observation is a very important tool for understanding how your farm is working. And a very crucial and probably most important part of your soil is understanding what's happening under your feet. And the best way to do this and understand what's actually happening on your farm is to dig a hole. It's as simple as that, and there's a few things you're going to be looking for. So when you're digging a hole, you want to look at how deep your roots are getting into the soil. Are they shearing off to the side, like there's some sort of compaction layer? Also, if it's rained the day before, how deep is that water infiltrating into the soil, and is it doing it evenly? Another thing you want to be looking for is if you've got clovers like in the pasture we're in at the moment, is looking at the nodulation on the bottom of these plants and seeing if you're actually capturing that free nitrogen from the sky. And another thing you want to be looking for is looking at the rooting structure and the rhizosheath. So this is where we're looking at, is that soil aggregation around the roots, or does it just the dirt fall off? Because that indicates whether the biology and the bacteria is actually working in your soils. So I'll take a quick dig here and I'll show you a couple of things that we normally look for. I haven't dug a hole yet, so we'll see how we go, and we'll do it with some clover in it so we can have a look at that too. When we're digging a hole, we kind of want to do a square like this, get it down as deep as you can with the spade. It's actually quite easy digging here. We had 18 mil of rain overnight, and as you can see, it's all pretty even in the soil here. But another thing you really want to look for is when you're doing a spade square like this, is how many worms you've got in your soil. So a really good soil should have 25 of these worms, or different types of worms, per spade, and that's how you know your soil's functioning well. And these guys provide a lot of minerals, particularly calcium, to your soil, so you want these guys in here working away. So, like I said a little bit earlier, we want to see if there's any sort of compaction layer and how deep these roots are going. So we can see they're coming through here, so they're getting down a decent length, and they're not shearing off, they're actually reaching down as well. We then want to go through and break apart the soil, and we want to see how it's aggregated. So how does it break in your hand? Is it breaking off in like sharp, hard corners? That would indicate that you've got some issues with soils and particularly minerals. But here we're getting like a not too bad aggregation, and it looks pretty good. So we're looking at the rooting depth. The rooting depth is good here. Another issue we want to look at when it comes to looking at your soil, and we're talking about the plant side of things, is if you're getting a layer of thatch here. So that can indicate that you're not decomposing your soil and that your soil health and microbes aren't working correctly. Now we've got some clovers in here, and this is a very important thing for people to understand, is that when you've got clovers, you need to understand if they're actually working or not. It doesn't guarantee that they are. And they have these little nodules on their roots, if I can find one, little white things by my nails. So when we're looking at the nodulation on clover or legumes, we want to see that these are all getting all the way down. So down here, these are quite small, so it's going to be hard to tell. And then the next step to do is to actually split them in half, because they'll be one of three colours. They'll be white, which means they're not fixing any nitrogen from the atmosphere. Red means they're actively, well, red or pink, they're actively fixing nitrogen from the atmosphere. Or green, which means that they stopped making nitrogen because there's enough in the local soil system, but they will switch back on when that changes. So these ones are pink, which means it's fixing nitrogen, but these nodules aren't very big and they are starting to flow down. So the further these get down, the further that nitrogen gets down as well. The next thing is looking at the rhizosheath. So the rhizosheath is the rooting structure, and whether there's a nice big worm, you're getting aggregation on with the soil. So if you've got really good high functioning soil, you'll see little bits of soil aggregates stuck all the way along it, and we call that Rastafari roots, and that's when you know your soil is functioning heavily. You don't want to see it really clean like this. It indicates that there's some sort of biological issue here that needs to be resolved. But you can see a nice big nodule there. The rooting depth is getting down, and it's not actually too bad here. If we were to see a compaction layer, quite a significant one, you would actually see your roots shear off to the side here, and they wouldn't be able to get down and penetrate through. But this area here, I don't think has been grazed too hard or cultivated in the recent years, so it's actually looking not too bad. So that's just a few things that we can have a look at when we're in the soil. Out on the farm, it's pretty easy to do when you're out driving around, and everyone says that they do it, but realistically people just forget to do it. And it's a great way to just check how your management is